You! Quitting your job means you're going to be living off me, right?
That's not the case at all. Going independent is like a career change. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to make any money.
You? Independence? You've got to be kidding me. That's not going to work. Then be independent of me too.
Huh?
Divorce! Divorce! Because I'm not going to support an unemployed man.
My name is Daniel. I'm a 40-year-old office worker. When I got married, I had a high-paying sales job, but confident in my sales performance, I changed jobs 3 years ago. I was enthusiastic that my salary would increase, but the reality was the exact opposite. My salary went down, and the treatment was worse than at my previous company. It's been a daily routine of only overtime. My wife is also 40 years old, and hasn't worked since our daughter was born, but when our daughter entered elementary school, she was lucky to be re-employed by her previous employer, and now mainly works from home. My daughter has grown up and is now in 6th grade, in elementary school, and our childcare duties have eased up a bit. I've been saying that I want to try something new at work soon. My parents live in the countryside and run a farm, perhaps because my daughter saw me doing farm work when she was young, but she enjoys helping out when we visit the countryside. My parents are happy to work with their grandchild in the field, and my daughter puts a lot of effort into various farm tasks. But my wife hates the countryside, and when we go to my parents' house, she always finds excuses not to go with me. I'm going to go to my parents' house for another week or so this year. Will you be coming?
I'll pass. I've got work to do. I've got a project that's coming to a close.
I see. I understand. I knew from the beginning that my wife wouldn't come, but she is family. Even if I knew she wouldn't come, I still have to ask. When my daughter and I set out for my parents' home, my wife would contact us every day. If these messages were meant to show that she cared about the family, it wouldn't have been a problem. However, my wife contacted us about things that don't matter.
What should I eat today?
Why don't you eat the leftovers in the fridge?
I'm not in the mood for that.
Then why don't you make something for yourself?
Huh? Why do I have to? I'm tired.
Okay, thank you. During the stays at my parents' house, my wife was always like this, so most of the time I ignore her messages. My wife doesn't like it when my daughter and I go to my parents' home. Every time I come home from my parents' house, the house is full of garbage.
Every time we go to Grandpa's house, Mom always messes up the room, right?
That's right.
Why do you always clean up when Mom is the one who made the mess? Shouldn't Mom clean it up by herself?
Indeed. Even my daughter is getting fed up with her mother's attitude.
Even though going to Grandpa's house is fun, coming back home and finding it messy makes me feel bad.
Yeah, I don't like it either.
Hey, can't we live with Grandpa and Grandma? They seem to be struggling with farm work. I wish we could help them more.
Thank you. Your grandparents will be happy. My daughter is nothing like my selfish wife. She's kind. As for me, like my daughter, I'm also fed up with my wife's childish behavior. And so, it was my first day back at work after a break, and I was attending a semi-annual evaluation meeting at work to discuss my goals. It was then that I proposed an idea of the company president based on one of my daughter's comments, which had inspired me. Why don't we aim to implement IT and agriculture with this program? Starting now, other employees have been working on it for quite some time, haven't they? Indeed, the president is correct. It has been going on for decades overseas. It is now a business, and for about 10 years now, American companies have been building new business models for agriculture. I think we can use our patents effectively. We already have some potential farmers who are interested in collaborating with us as part of our operational model. I see. Well then, could you submit a proposal for it now? Yes, understood. I immediately asked my parents for their cooperation, and they readily agreed. My daughter's words, "I want to help because Grandma and Grandpa have a hard job," ended up giving me a big business opportunity. 1 month after my proposal, my project was approved. From then on, I worked passionately on the business. As each year passed, I became increasingly worried about my aging parents. If this project goes well, it would be a dream come true for me to be able to help them. Despite my eagerness to pursue the project, my wife mercilessly undermined my motivation.
Have you been acting weird lately? It's kind of off-putting, like you're getting too full of yourself or something.
What do you mean?
I don't know. When I look at you, it just brings me down.
Well, that's not good. Then don't look at me. I know my wife just wants to make me feel bad, and she's succeeding. But even though I feel terrible, I try to keep a straight face and act normal. She's always been like this. For some reason, when I get really into something and start having fun, she tries to bring me down. I'm used to it though. I just try to ignore it. But it still bothers her that I'm not bothered.
Well, it's impossible not to look at you. We live together.
That's not true. All you have to do is lock yourself in your room. I will do my job and take care of our daughter. If you take care of yourself, we won't have to interact.
Are you seriously saying that?
She shouted in frustration. I'm really fed up with her. I've been thinking about divorcing her, and I don't know how to tell her daughter. It's hard to get to the bottom of it, and I don't care about what she says anymore. In the end, she always resorts to criticizing my family's farm.
Maybe your inability to read the air is because you grew up on a rural farm.
She is such a child. Even though I always try to remain calm, I get angry when my parents are brought up. My wife knows that. However, I'm able to maintain my composure at this time. For the first time, a project that I proposed to do myself was being adopted. I was highly motivated, so my wife's annoying behavior was not a big problem for me. So, are you unable to work because you grew up in the city?
You! Cut it out!
I'm throwing that comment right back at you.
Don't be ridiculous.
No, you're the one who made the ridiculous comment first. Lately, we've been arguing like this all the time. I used to be a kind person, but I've changed a few months before transferring jobs. My relationship with my wife is deteriorating, but my career was going well, as if the two were somehow inversely related. Then, a few months later, I couldn't compromise on this project. After consulting with my company, we agreed to a licensing contract, and I decided to start my own business. I told my wife about this, but she didn't seem to be listening at all. As soon as I left the company, she surprised me by asking for a divorce.
You quitting your job means you're going to be living off me, right?
Of course not. Starting my own business is like a career change, so it doesn't mean that there won't be any money coming in.
You're starting your own business. Don't be ridiculous. There's no way that will work. Then I'll also start my own business and divorce you. Divorce. I don't intend to support an unemployed person.
I was surprised and at a loss for words at the sudden word of divorce. It was because I was thinking of my daughter.
Dad, get a divorce.
My daughter, who had been sleeping, opened the living room door. My wife looked upset for a moment.
I just made the obvious choice. It's your fault that you said you're quitting your job.
My wife insists that she is not to blame in front of our daughter. However, my daughter only pays attention to me. She has shown no interest in listening to my wife right from the start. Really?
Yeah, I hate my mom and I want you to divorce her. She always says mean things to you. Please stop staying together for my sake. I want you to divorce her now. And then let's live with Grandpa and Grandma.
Thank you, but you'll have to transfer schools. Are you okay with that?
Of course, let's go. I don't want to talk to Mom anymore.
Okay then, that's settled for now. We can discuss the details later.
Hey, wait a minute. What's going on? I didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah, we'll talk about it later. Well, I hope you can live a life without regrets.
Just die. I'll be free once you guys are gone.
Ignore my wife shouting. I left the house with my daughter. It seems like my daughter can finally relax at my parents' house. She seems to be enjoying her new school, even though I was worried about her starting a new term. After my daughter had settled in, I began to discuss divorce again with my wife. My wife says she won't pay alimony because I'm to blame. Normally, if you're liable, you're the one that's charged alimony. My wife doesn't want to pay alimony. Does she know what it means to take responsibility? I will definitely demand compensation from you, because you are at fault, right?
You don't really understand, do you? There's no way I'm at fault. I haven't done anything.
Yeah, you certainly didn't do anything for the house or the kids. I was working under the same conditions as you, and I was the only one struggling. But you've been so friendly to Bobby, and you've been rewarding him in so many ways. I said this while lying out the evidence of my wife's affair.
How did you gather all of this? Did you look at my phone? You're so rude.
Rude? That's you. What are you doing? Married and still doing something like this? Oh, and just so you know, I didn't gather this evidence myself.
Where did you get the money to hire a private detective?
It was our daughter.
What?
She's the one who gathered all of this evidence. Our daughter told me that she had seen her mother walk arm in arm with a man she didn't recognize, and she used my laptop to sync with her phone. She showed me the data, and it gave me a push to go through with the divorce. That child absolutely hates the fact that you are her mother. That's why I can divorce you without any hesitation. You're really a hopeless mother to let your daughter see such pictures like that. I have all the evidence, so there's no point in making excuses. Besides, your career change was because of another affair you had, and you had to pay compensation to another man's wife, and you even lied about your salary decreasing. I've invested everything, so there's no use denying it. At this point, My previously confident wife became crestfallen. I'm proud to have such an excellent daughter. I'd be happy if that child took over my company in the future, of course, if that's what she wants.
I'm sorry. It was just a moment of weakness. Let's not get a divorce after all. You'd be troubled too, wouldn't you?
No, I won't stop. Besides, you're the one that's going to be troubled. If you say you won't pay alimony and child support in one lump sum, I'll barge into your company and reveal everything.
Wait, if you do that, I won't be able to work at the company again, will I?
Oh, I know. You can just look for another job then. You're going to live a full life of regrets. My wife came to me in tears and asked for help, but I rejected her with a smile. Even after that, my wife hesitated to sign the divorce papers, so I hired a lawyer and left everything to them, and we were able to get divorced in less than 2 weeks. It seems my wife wanted to avoid any more financial expenses. With 2 alimony payments and child support to pay, as well as the cost of the lawyer, my ex-wife was pushed to the brink of poverty. Afterward, she paid both alimony and child support in one lump sum. She contacted me to say she had to take on debt because she couldn't pay with her savings.
Don't you feel sorry for me?
She tried to plead with me, but I ignored her. When I demanded compensation from the person my ex-wife was having an affair with, the 2 of them got into a huge fight and eventually broke up. "Why should I have to pay for you?" her lover said. Her lover was furious, but in the end, they paid a good amount of the claims. Her lover had to rely on his parents for money, and he had to return to his hometown under his parents' watchful scrutiny. I heard my ex-wife was helping out with her family's business, but she still couldn't even afford rent, so she had to move into a run-down apartment. My business is flourishing, and I'm enjoying each day to the fullest. Although my relationship with my wife didn't work out, I was able to apply what I had learned to help my parents' agriculture business. By modernizing the farm with IT, we have significantly reduced our working hours. My parents are happy that their burden has decreased. Everything this time was saved by my daughter. Although I had some resistance to giving her a smartphone or tablet while she was still just an elementary school student, she seemed to be using the items skillfully. My daughter's favorite place is still in the field though. She's starting to take an interest in my business. Lately, she's even asked me how to create a website. I'm looking forward to what the future holds for her. Thank you for watching until the end. How did you like today's story? If you enjoyed it, please consider subscribing to the channel. See you next time.